think you didn't match last cycle? Thank you so much for that question. After going unmatched, it came as a huge shock to me and my mentors, but immediately after I heard the news, I reached out to all the programs I interviewed with, asking for feedback on what I could have done to have been ranked higher and what I could do to improve for next cycle. Aside from the most common response I got, which was that it was just a very competitive cycle and to just try again next year, one piece of feedback that stuck out to me was that one program said it didn't seem like I was interested in going to their program specifically. This indicated to me that a major issue I had with last year's cycle was with my interviewing. I wasn't able to effectively communicate my genuine enthusiasm for programs. I didn't spend enough time learning about each individual program that I interviewed with prior to the interview. Because of this, I have taken steps to address this by doing more mock interviews, by reading books on how to communicate more effectively, and also really digging deep into doing more research on each program before my interview by reaching out to current residents. That is how I learned about your programs, which really resonated with me because although unfortunately I didn't match last cycle, I feel so much more prepared this time around, and I'm really excited for this opportunity to be interviewing with you today. Here's a quick breakdown of my answer and what I would recommend for any reapplicant preparing for this question. First, always ask for feedback after you don't match. Even if only a few programs respond, it shows initiative and self-awareness if you can say that I reached out for feedback and this is what I got. It tells interviewers that you care about growth and take responsibility instead of blaming the process. Second, avoid using "it was a competitive cycle" as your reason. Even if it's true for every other reapplicant, so what makes you stand out? Show that you took control of your narrative rather than leaving it up to chance. Third, be specific about the feedback you received and what you did to improve. For my answer, even though the piece of feedback I mentioned was only brought up by one program, it was the piece of feedback that I mentioned in my answer because it was something I could show real growth from. It's important to show programs that not only do you listen to feedback, but you also act on it. And lastly, 4, always end your answer on a positive note. This is a tough question because you're literally being asked to talk about failure. But if you end with how you've grown and how this makes you even more excited to be interviewing with their program, you leave them with remembering your optimism and not your setback.